our PowerPoint presentation for the year 2021. Subject DPPE and DJPE, Phe21. Presenter Mrs. AC Stein, 081 277 5321. Good morning, I'm Mrs. Ansie Stein, your tutor for PHE21 for this year. Welcome to the presentation for this subject. I hope you enjoy your studies and that you will be successful this year. Success comes with dedicated, consistent work. My contact details are 081 277 5321, that's my cell phone number, and ansiestein@hotmail.com, that's my email address. You're welcome to contact me from Mondays till Saturdays from 8 a.m. till 8 p.m. You can either phone me or SMS or email me. In the latter case, I can send you a detailed answer. Please feel free to ask if anything is unclear or if you have problems regarding your subject. I'm willing to assist as far as I can. I'm going to discuss the most important facts of each unit separately. You will then be able to follow the content discussed if you page through your study guide while I'm discussing the content. Please note that this presentation is not a discussion of the exam paper, but of the most important content for the whole year. As an introduction to the study guide, I'm shortly going to explain some of the information regarding the guide itself. When you page to the front of the study guide, you will find a detailed table of contents. Here you will find the headings of the complete content and you will be able to have an overview of your subject for the year. Take time to read through it to familiarize yourself with the content you are going to study. On page 7, that's for DPPE, and 11 for DJPE, you will find very important information regarding the time you are required to spend with the subject in order to be a successful student. Because this is distant teaching, it's very important that you spend adequate time right throughout the year with your study material. To just start studying before the exams will not be wise, and it will be hard to write the exams successfully. I recommend that you spend time every day with your studies. Even half an hour every day will be worthwhile. Consistency is the key to being a successful student. When you turn the page, you will find action verbs or verbs thinking processes. These words form the key of the assignment and also the exam paper. For example, when you are requested to analyze facts, you will have to present facts in detail, and when you have to outline, you have to only give an overview and present the main features. Make sure to know that what is expected of you when these verbs are present in your assignment and exam paper. Now, when you turn to Unit 1, you firstly find the table of content of this unit and then the learning outcomes. After that, you will find the learning activities, that's LA in short. Read your presentation to find out what learning outcomes and learning activities are. You will notice that this presentation is presented for DPPE as well as DJPE students. Although the content of these two study guides are not 100% the same, both study guides are taken into account when marking the question paper, so you will not be influenced negatively in any way, regardless the course you follow. Study from the guide you received and be assured that all students are treated equally, whether you are a DPPE or DJPE student. Now I'm going to page to Unit 1. Before we discuss the content of the study guide, you first should acquaint yourself what physiology and anatomy are. In other words, the study field of physiology and anatomy. In 1.1, you find these descriptions. Physiology is the science of the functions of the human body. Physiology aims to understand the mechanisms of living, in other words, how living things work, whereas anatomy describes the structures of living things, what the body parts look like, their shape, and where the parts of the body are located, where in the body they can be found. So if you clearly understand the difference, we can start discussing the content of Unit 1. The next point of interest is 1.3, how exercise promotes health and fitness. Now, it controls weight, it improves mood, it promotes better sleep, and it can be fun. These are some benefits of exercise. Know these facts, but also know how to describe each fact. In 1.4, quite a few definitions are set out. At this stage, you only need to know two, namely flexibility, which is the amount of movement possible at a particular joint, and muscular strength, the ability of the muscle to generate the maximum amount of force against a force external, that's outside the body. The importance of health and physical education is described in 1.5. There are quite a few benefits. For example, cardiovascular, that's the heart function, is more efficient when we exercise. The heart muscles become stronger, blood pressure reduces, etc. Study these facts as set out in 1.5. 1.6 describes current health problems in young people. Currently, some young people experience different kinds of health problems. Examples are malnutrition, that's not eating a healthy, balanced meal every day, cardiovascular or heart diseases, AIDS, HIV, and depression, which is a mental health problem. They are but some of the health problems experienced. So study 1.6 in detail to know the different problems experienced. You must be able to name them all and also discuss at least 3 of them. I'm going to page to 1.9 now, where the influences of PE on emotional stability are discussed. In other words, how does PE also contribute to the minds and emotions of the learners? One example is that it helps to reduce stress, meaning it helps with the mind, not a better body in this case. It improves self-confidence, which is also to do with thinking, not the body itself. It prevents cognitive decline, meaning the mind stays active in thinking and is well maintained. So you will notice all the points of interest have got to do with the mind now, in contrary to the advantages to the body. Exercise plays a big role in emotional stability. There are quite a few more positive influences discussed here, so study them all. And the last part of interest in Unit 1 is 1.10, where development of teamwork of a sports team is discussed in detail. A coach should be able to help the team to be successful, and teamwork is an essential part of this. So what can the coach do? Cooperation amongst players must be developed. Socializing should take place. Confidence of the players should be developed. These are but a few tips. Study them all in 1.10. We're going to look at the most important content of Unit 2 now. In 2.1, the 3 categories that movement skills can be divided into are discussed. The first category is locomotion. Locomotion concerns the movements where the body is transported in a horizontal or vertical direction, meaning parallel to the ground or upright, from one point in space to another. To explain it, when you run, you move vertically, that's upright, from the starting line, that's a point in space, to the end, another point in space. Make sure to understand this concept. The next category is manipulation, where gross motor of the legs and arms movements involve giving force and also receiving force from objects. To explain this, when you hit a tennis ball, your arm muscles, that's gross motor movement, give force to the ball. And when you catch a ball, your arm muscles receive force. The last category is called stability. For this, let us think of a ballet dancer who dances on one place, rotating. He turns around, but only on one place. So to use the correct terms, it is when the body remains in place, does not go forward or backwards, but move around its axis, like the earth when it rotates, but stays at one place, moving around its axis. Examples are twisting, turning, and bending. You should know these three categories, but important also, you should be able to explain what each one means and should be able to give examples of each one. 2.3 names 6 phases of motor development. Very important, make sure to know them all, the names correctly and the years associated to each phase, but also to know what each one entails as described in 2.3. In 2.4, the criteria whether games and activities are appropriate for pre-primary learners are set out. Not all games are suitable for these learners, so they have to comply with the following criteria. It should provide safe play. It should meet the requirements of all the different abilities of the learners. Not all learners are able to do the same level of games. It should support the developmental principle, meaning that a pre-primary learner is not as developed as a 15-year-old learner. So the activity must meet the age-appropriate level, etc. You should be able to name and discuss these criteria only. The following content of importance is that you should know what games for large groups are, that's in 2.7, like soccer, rugby, netball, etc. Also games for small groups in 2.6, like do this, do that, and hopscotch. Games for pairs can be tennis, table tennis, squash, darts, as set out in 2.5, and then also tag and dodging games like chain tag, partner tag, etc. in 2.8. You should be able to name these different kinds of games, but also to identify a certain game. Meaning if I name soccer, you should know that it is an example of games for large groups, etc. Traditional games of the Namibian culture are very interesting, and while learners play them, they learn that there are other cultures too which should be respected. One of these games is Dila Akende, Fill the Bottle, played by coloured and black communities. A soft round ball is used the size of a tennis ball, and two teams play in a circle. That's just part of the game. Make sure to describe the game in a whole from beginning to end 100% correctly. The best way to learn the game is to play it yourself and then describe it as the game progresses. See 2.10 for that. When we turn to Unit 3, the first content of importance can be found in 3.1. Certain skills are developed while learners play on the playground. For example, balance when they walk on a log, flexibility when they swing on a bar, agility, changing direction fast when the game touch is played, rhythm when they dance, etc. Study all these skills to be able to name them. In 3.2, we find the features of a good playground, meaning things you will find on a playground which help with the development of the child. Also, what types of playground characteristics are necessary to be a good, effective playground for learners. Now, the first feature will be there should be shade and shelter from the sun and the rain. There should be a water play area, meaning that's not just water for drinking, but to play with boats and other play equipment in the water. There should be a sand play area, meaning a sand pit on the playground where they can build sand castles, feel dry and wet sand, and be creative. A sand pit develops their small muscles. When they play with the sand, they also feel the texture, so tactile stimulation takes place, and they also socialize, which is a skill. Again, it is a specific sandbox big enough for several learners to play in, ideally covered with a roof to prevent sunburn. This does not mean it is the whole sandy area of the playground. A small garden area is another feature where seeds can be planted so that learners can watch them grow and also learn to water plants. That is essential for a good playground. Study the importance of having a garden on the playground too. Grass is also essentially. It will not cover the whole playground. It's only a designated area on the playground. Here they can hop, skip, and play soccer and other activities. There should be a hard surface area which is paved and bricked where ball games can be played. And murals are also important. A mural is a wall where learners can paint and write on. A good idea is to cover the wall with blackboard paint to write on. Playground markings are where learners can play hopscotch. There can be a mini road where they can ride their play cars and bikes and so forth. The last feature is tractor tires, which they can roll and climb on and through. You should be able to name these features, but also know the value of each. So study 3.2 in detail for these important aspects. So let us look at the big play equipment on a playground as described in 3.3. It should be able to develop their big muscles, their balance, etc. What are these suitable equipment then? Climbing structures like a jungle gym, which develop their balance, coordination, and large muscles. If you're uncertain what a jungle gym is, make sure to acquaint yourself with this. A proposal is to Google jungle gym images to find out exactly what it entails. There should be slides, there should be swings, a horizontal bar, tunnels, trampolines, and each one of them is very important, and you should be able to name these equipment, but also the importance of them. In other words, what they develop. See 3.3 for that. The following are important content in Unit 4. In 4.2, it is discussed how a teacher can effectively manage a PE class. PE is more informal, and it can easily encourage learners to challenge the discipline of a teacher. So how can a PE teacher then manage such a class? Preventing ill discipline. In 4.2, certain tips in this regard are discussed, like to use positive reinforcement, to structure classes that ensure success. Don't let learners choose their teams. This can be an embarrassment to the less popular learners. And don't make PE classes about winning. These are but a few proposals to ensure good discipline. Study 4.2 in detail to know what and how to do to ensure that a PE class is presented effectively and successfully. Also study the headings regarding supervision, equipment, and rules found in 4.2 so that you can discuss each heading. Safety on a playground is of utmost importance. See 4.4. Therefore, the following are very important: enough supervisors for the number of learners, written playground rules, equipment on the playground should be checked regularly and well maintained. To find out all the safety features, study 4.4 extensively. I mentioned above that there should be playground rules. Can you think of a few you will implement? This means what children should adhere to. One of them would be that not more than one learner should use a swing at the same time. They should stand back from a seesaw when it's in use. They should not litter on the playground because fellow learners can trip over a can, etc. Think about a few more rules children should adhere to in order to make it a safe play. And 4.2 can help you in this regard. The last paragraph of importance in Unit 4 is 4.5. What will you do in case an accident did happen on the playground, in spite of all the precautions taken? Make sure to study 4.5 in this regard. Unit 5 is about suitable indoor and outdoor play areas. 5.1 discusses the different categories of play. This means at different ages in a child's life, different kinds of play take place. A newborn baby does not play at all, too young. So this stage is called unoccupied play. When being a little older, the child plays on his or her own, called solitary play. In this way, a certain kind of play takes place in every age group of a child. Study all the ages, that's categories found here. Indoors is the space in the classroom because it's a small space for learners to do activities in. Running, kicking of a ball, and, for example, playing cricket cannot be done here. In fact, the indoors need to meet some criteria, like it should be predictable. It should have well-defined boundaries. The paint area and the car playing area should be clear to children, not to overlap. These are only a few more. These are only a few criteria. There are quite a few more, so know them all as set out in 5.2. Indoors refers to in the classroom, while outdoors refer to the playground outside the classroom. Would you be able to identify which play equipment and areas are suitable for indoors? Study 5.4 in this regard. A few will be board games, a painting area, a fantasy play area, etc. Why do you think are suitable? Why do you think are they suitable for indoors and not for outdoors? To play chess and build puzzles outside would create problems because children need a safe, small, secure area to do these activities. The puzzle pieces will also quickly get lost on the playground, and the same goes for the chess pieces. On the other hand, swings and a slide are definite outside equipment. They're too large to keep indoors. Make sure to be able to identify the different indoor and outdoor equipment and also why they are suitable for indoors and outdoors specifically. Now you can look at 5.4 and 5.5 and also 3.2 will help you in this regard. As mentioned, the indoor area is a smaller space than the outdoors, the playground, because it is the space inside the classroom. A teacher has many equipment to store in the classroom, and this is why a storeroom space should be well maintained. It should be easily accessible, it should be clearly marked, and the space should be kept uncluttered. There are quite a few more reasons for the need of indoor storage facilities. Study them all in 5.6. The last unit to study is Unit 6. Sport builds the character of a child. Why? Because it helps them establish endurance to keep on trying until they can, for example, score a goal. It teaches them to set a goal for themselves to achieve it, like to run 100 meters in, say, 15 seconds. Moral habits are established, like to be honest, to not take bribes, etc. Their concentration, confidence and control, and also commitment is established when taking part in sports. Study these facts extensively in 6.1 in order to be able to discuss them, but also critically. In other words, not just mentioning the facts, but why the facts are true or regarded important. That's critically. Why do you think is it important for an athlete to warm up before a race? It prevents injuries, it improves performance because blood flow increases to the muscles, etc. This is discussed in 6.2, which should be studied. Also in 6.2 are the types of warm-up exercises to do, like dancing, high knees, butt kicks, and a few more. You should be able to name and discuss at least 3 of these exercises as discussed in 6.2. We all know that before an athlete can start a 100-meter race, the starter will give commands. On your marks, get set, go. Each of these commands need a specific action and a specific technique. You as a coach should know these techniques 100% in order to teach them correctly to your athletes. But for now, you only need to study the on your marks command as found in 6.5. Also here, do the action yourself in order to know exactly how to execute it and also to be able to clearly describe it. Good sportsmanship is a characteristic which should be reinforced by a coach. What would you say? If a coach questions the decisions of the referee and goes off on the field to query them, would this be good or bad sportsmanship? 6.8 says that results of a game should be accepted with grace, meaning to accept if you lose a game and not to blame others or the referee. Also to congratulate competitors after a game, even if lost. See and study 6.8 in this regard. There are many other tips, and when studying these tips, you will get to know when is sportsmanship good and when it is bad. It is obvious that bad sportsmanship is the exact opposite of good sportsmanship. So if you know the examples of good sportsmanship, you will be able to name and identify bad sportsmanship. For example, to congratulate competitors after a game, even if it's lost, is a good thing. But the opposite, namely to not congratulate the competitors, will be an example of bad sportsmanship. 6.9 touches on a very important topic, namely the qualities of a good coach. Many people can coach, but to be a good coach requires certain qualities. What would you say? What would be some of the qualities? He or she should know the sport he or she coaches and be willing to keep up to date with the rules and equipment while coaching the specific sport. Also, he or she should know the players, their names, each player's strong but also weak points. A coach should be a reliable person and a positive person. There are many other qualities a good coach should display, so study this extensively in 6.9. Also page to the LA in this regard at the end of the unit. It does happen that a school principal can expect from you as PE teacher to plan, organize and help with the execution of a school athletics or sports event. Can you think about important issues to organize in order to make it a successful event? Let's start from the beginning. You need the athletes' names and ages in order to divide them in their appropriate groups and also the items you're going to present. You need helpers, the starter, the catchers at the end of the race, the recorders of the winners, etc. There should be an announcer, clean toilet facilities, food and cool drinks. Parents should be informed. So you need to determine the venue, the starting time, all with the consent of the principal. I'm sure you realize that there are many aspects to give attention to. Therefore, study 6.10 to know these aspects well. You can also study LA, that's Learning Activity 7 for DPPE students, and LA5, that's for DJPE students, at the end of Unit 6 in this regard. You will notice that the LAs, the learning activities, play a big role in studying, so make use of them when studying. And many times, these LAs are just a summary of the content discussed in the unit, and in that way, it will help you with the study. This then concludes the discussion of the most important content of your study guide. Please feel free to contact me should you have any questions. And please note that you only need to study your study guide for these exams as well as your assignment. But you should remember that you need to know facts about the subject PHE. I stress this because some students think that they can only write their own views. You should know the facts, so study them extensively. And please note also that short answer questions will be asked and the following kinds can be asked: to fill in words and definitions of certain terminology. And then also another type of short question is where you get two columns, column A and B. In column A, there are some facts like international health problem, speed, chocolates and sweets. And in column B, there are facts like not a healthy option to eat, HIV, the ability to move from one place to another in the shortest time possible. So you need to find the correct combinations. Now in this case, 1B, 2C, and 3A are the correct answers. I'm only going to refer to 1B. 1 is the international health problem, B is HIV, they belong together, that's why you write it as this. You only fill in the correct letters, do not write out the words. Now please feel free to contact me regarding any uncertainties and questions you have about your subject. Good luck with the exams. You will be rewarded for hard work and dedication.